And gospel thinking changes everything. It changes the way we look at God. It changes the way we look at ourselves. It'll change the way we look at the people around us. And let's illustrate this as we close. How can gospel thinking save me from the power and evil of envy? So let's say here I am, I'm riddled with jealousy, overwhelmed with coveting over something that somebody else has, and I don't have it. And now the hatred of envy is starting to churn in me like a geyser in Yellowstone. Why is this hurt and hatred ultimately there? When you peel back the layers for why it is there, there's really a reason for it. There's somebody I'm angry with. And the one I'm angry with the most is someone greater. I'm angry at God. It's His universe. He's running the show. He's the one I've been trusting to take care of me. And you see, when envy starts to latch onto my heart, suddenly, you know what I'm doing? I'm doubting that. I'm believing that God is not loving enough or powerful enough to take care of me. I'm thinking that God is actually a little unfair here. He's playing favorites. Or He must be so disappointed in me that this happened. But what happens in that moment if that moment I'm feeling envy coming on strong? I say to myself, wait a minute. If Jesus died for me, the way the story tells, what does that tell me about God in this moment? They didn't take Jesus' life from Him. He laid it down. So He's still all-powerful. And He laid it down to save me. So He's still all-loving. I don't understand everything that's happening in my world right now, but God is sovereign still. There's an old hymn, a great hymn called Children of the Heavenly Father. It says, though the wrong is oft so strong, God is the ruler yet. That's gospel thinking. And as I practice gospel thinking, what happens to the toxin of envy that's filling me in? It starts to drain out of my heart. Joseph, did he understand everything that was going on in him when he got thrown in Pharaoh's prison? Did he understand what it was all about? We talked about it in our life group Friday night. He didn't understand. God did not explain it to him. How the reason he was sold by his brothers into slavery in Egypt, and the reason he was falsely accused by Potiphar's wife and then tossed into prison. There's a reason for that years later he might be raised up to become the right-hand man of Pharaoh and so prepare the way for his family when famine would come and they would come down to Egypt. And because of Joseph being in the position he was in, he was able to safely receive his family. And then this is the seed of Israel. They're then implanted in the safe womb of Egypt for the next few centuries so that Israel can grow strong as a nation until God brings them to birth. Joseph knew none of that till afterwards. But Joseph, rather than rage at the universe, get all cranky at God, go and sin his life and heart away, let his heart get filled with bitterness, any of these things, you know what he chose to do? It's right there in the story. He chose to worship and serve and trust God. That's what Jane Marzeski, also known as Nightbirde, was able to say as she was lying sick and dying of cancer on a bathroom floor shortly before she died at the age of 32. She wrote this in her journal. And if you don't know Nightbirde, just Google her and listen to a couple of the songs she wrote. She was not allowed to have a full artist life. She wrote a couple songs. She's a Walt Whitman in his great poem says that, that we can just contribute a verse to life. If that would be enough. And Nightbirde contributed a verse to light. She wrote this in this blog. Even on days when I'm not so sick, sometimes I go and lay in the mat in the afternoon light to listen for him talking about God. She loved the Lord. I know it sounds crazy and I can't explain it, but God is there in those moments, even now. I've heard it said that some people can't see God because they won't look low enough, and it's true. If you can't see Him, look lower. God is on the bathroom floor. She sings this beautiful song, It's Okay It's okay. Gospel thinking will help you see God as he really is so that you can, like Joseph, love him and worship him and trust him no matter what you're facing.